The Raven and the Lesson of Christmas. Snow fell gently over the vast pine forest in the heart of the United States. Christmas was approaching, and the landscape looked like something out of a festive postcard, with trees covered in white and the cold air carrying the scent of pine. Amidst this winter fairy tale scene, a raven with shiny black feathers named Thomas soared over the area, his keen eyes searching for any crumbs or scraps of food he might find. Thomas was known throughout the forest for his selfish nature and his disdain for Christmas celebrations. While other animals prepared for the festivities, decorating their dens with red berries and pine cones, he spent his days hoarding food in his well-hidden nest atop a centuries-old pine tree. His attitude was clear. Christmas was just another cold winter day, and everyone should look after themselves. Days before Christmas, Thomas was flying over a glade when he spotted something unusual. A small bird, a cockatiel with grey and yellow plumage, lay fallen in the snow, its wings trembling slightly. Around her, small improvised Christmas decorations made of twigs and colourful leaves were scattered. Intrigued but still cautious, Thomas landed on a nearby branch, observing the scene with curiosity. The cockatiel, named Luna, attempted to rise but soon fell back into the soft snow. She looked up at Thomas with pleading eyes. "Please," she whispered, her voice almost inaudible against the cold wind, "could you help me? I hurt my wing while trying to decorate this tree for Christmas. Now I can't fly to find food or finish the preparations for the forest party." Thomas hesitated, his instinct for self-preservation clashing with a strange sense of compassion that was beginning to emerge in his chest. "Why should I help you?" he asked, his rough voice echoing in the silent glade. "Christmas is just another day like any other. Everyone should look after themselves." Luna, despite her precarious situation, offered a gentle smile. "Christmas is much more than that," she replied. "It is a time to share, to spread joy and kindness. I have some nuts and berries that I saved for the Christmas feast. If you help me get to a safe shelter, I would be happy to share them with you." The offer took Thomas by surprise. Here was an injured and hungry bird willing to share her Christmas feast. It was a completely foreign concept to him. Intrigued and a little confused, Thomas decided to accept the proposal, more out of curiosity than real compassion. Carefully, he used his strong claws to help Luna move to a small cavity in a nearby tree trunk. Once sheltered, Luna kept her promise, offering Thomas some of the precious nuts and berries she had saved for Christmas. As they ate together, Thomas couldn't help but ask, "Why would you share your Christmas food when you are in such need?" Luna, with a glimmer in her eyes, replied, "Because the true spirit of Christmas lies in sharing and caring for one another. It is a moment when small acts of kindness can make all the difference." These words echoed in Thomas's mind, challenging everything he thought he knew about Christmas and life. He spent the rest of the day nearby, watching Luna and reflecting on what she had said. In the days leading up to Christmas, Thomas found himself returning to the tree cavity, bringing small offerings of food for Luna. He told himself it was just to ensure she would fulfill her part of the deal and share more of the Christmas feast, but deep down, something was changing within him. As he cared for Luna, Thomas began to notice a subtle transformation in himself. The act of giving, which had once seemed an unnecessary sacrifice, now brought a sense of warmth and joy he had never experienced before. It was as if the true Christmas spirit was melting the ice that had long surrounded his heart. Luna, in turn, shared stories of past Christmases, talking about the different ways animals celebrated in other forests. Her stories were filled with joy, generosity, and Christmas miracles, showing Thomas a side of Christmas he had never considered. One day, while Thomas was returning with some berries for Luna, he came across a young squirrel named Noz, who was struggling to carry a large pine cone destined for the community's Christmas feast. Without thinking twice, Thomas offered help, surprising himself with this spontaneous act of Christmas kindness. Noz, grateful, began to tell Thomas about the preparations for the big Christmas party in the forest, how everyone came together to create decorations, prepare food, and ensure that no animal was left alone or hungry during the festivities. Thomas listened, fascinated by this concept of community and joint celebration. As Christmas approached, Luna's wing began to heal, and Thomas found himself increasingly involved with the forest's Christmas preparations. He met Ruby, a wise fox, who kept the ancient Christmas traditions of the forest, and Bambi, a young deer full of enthusiasm for the magic of Christmas. Each new encounter, each shared story, each small act of Christmas kindness was slowly transforming Thomas. The raven who once scorned Christmas was becoming an enthusiastic advocate for the true spirit of the celebration. As Christmas neared, the forest came alive with festive preparations. Thomas, now curious about the traditions he had previously ignored, began to explore the world around him more deeply. One morning, he accompanied Noz in search of natural decorations. The little squirrel skillfully leaped between the branches, collecting pine cones, gathering red berries, and collecting soft moss. "You know, Thomas," said Noz as he worked, "every animal contributes in a unique way to Christmas. We squirrels are great at finding and storing things. It's our way of helping." Thomas watched in amazement as Noz transformed simple items from the forest into beautiful Christmas decorations. "I never thought such common things could become so special," reflected the crow. Noz smiled, his eyes shining. "That's what Christmas does. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, just like it is transforming you, Thomas." Later that day, Thomas found Ruby, the wise fox, sitting by a frozen stream. She was telling stories of past Christmases to a group of young animals. Thomas quietly landed to listen. "Many years ago," Ruby narrated, her soft voice echoing in the clearing, "there was such a harsh winter that many feared they wouldn't survive. It was then that a young deer named Nicholas had an idea. He gathered all the animals and proposed that each share what they had. The squirrels shared their nuts, the rabbits their carrots, and even the grumpy bear shared the honey he had stored." Thomas's eyes widened as he heard the story. He began to understand that Christmas wasn't just about gifts and parties, but about unity and mutual support. Noticing Thomas's interest, Ruby continued, "Since then, we celebrate Christmas not just as a holiday, but as a reminder of our strength when we are united. Every animal, no matter how small or large, has something valuable to offer." As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Thomas flew to a nearby hill. From there, he could see the entire expanse of the forest. Twinkling lights made of fireflies in small glass jars began to illuminate different parts of the woods. The distant sound of Christmas carols reached his ears, bringing a warmth to his heart. It was then that Thomas spotted Bambi, the young deer, happily hopping between the trees. Curious, he flew closer. "What's got you so excited, Bambi?" asked Thomas. Bambi stopped, his big eyes shining with excitement. "Oh, Thomas, I'm practicing my jumps. You know, on Christmas night, all the young deer gather to put on a special performance. We jump back and forth, creating patterns in the sky with bells tied to our antlers. It's our way of bringing joy and music to the forest." Thomas was impressed by Bambi's enthusiasm. "That sounds wonderful. I never imagined Christmas could have so many different traditions." Bambi nodded vigorously. "Every animal has its special role. The beavers build a large wooden manger, the bears prepare a feast with honey and fruits, and even the owls decorate the tallest trees with bright stars." As they talked, Luna flew by, her wing now fully healed. She landed beside them, bringing with her the aroma of cinnamon and apple. "Come," she invited, "the mice are baking Christmas pies in their underground burrows." The smell is spreading throughout the forest. Thomas, Bambi, and Luna followed the tempting aroma, arriving at a clearing where several animals were already gathered. Small makeshift tables made of fallen logs were full of Christmas treats, nut pies, berry muffins, and even a large bowl of punch made with cranberry juice. As they savored the delights, Thomas realized how each animal contributed in some way to make Christmas special. The wolves offered protection, patrolling the edges of the forest to ensure everyone's safety during the festivities. The butterflies, even in the cold of winter, briefly emerged from their cocoons to add a touch of color and magic to the surroundings. Looking around, Thomas saw the forest with new eyes. It was not just a place of individual survival, but a shared home where every creature, big or small, played a vital role in the community, especially during Christmas. As the big day approached, Thomas's excitement for Christmas grew. He found himself increasingly involved in the preparations, helping wherever he could and learning new traditions. However, not everything was calm in the festive forest. One cold morning, Thomas heard a commotion near the great central oak where the animals usually gathered. Flying to investigate, he found a group of agitated animals discussing heatedly. At the center of the confusion was a grumpy badger named Grumble. With his arms crossed and a scowling expression, he bellowed, "Enough of this Christmas nonsense, all this noise, all this fuss. It's disturbing my winter sleep." Noz, the squirrel, was trying to calm the situation. But Grumble, "Christmas is a time of unity and joy for all of us." "Unity? Joy?" Grumble scoffed. "It's a waste of precious resources, that's what. We should be gathering food for winter, not spending it all on a silly party." Thomas perched on a low branch, watching the scene with concern. He saw how Grumble's words affected the other animals. Some looked disheartened, others began to question whether they should continue with the preparations. Luna, noticing the gloom spreading, flew to Thomas's side. "We need to do something," she whispered. "If the Christmas spirit is lost, all the unity we've built could disappear." Thomas nodded, feeling a responsibility he had never imagined he would have. "But what can we do? Grumble has the right not to like Christmas, doesn't he?" "Yes," Luna replied thoughtfully. "But maybe we can show him the true meaning of the celebration." In the days that followed, Grumble's negative influence began to spread. Some animals abandoned their Christmas projects, fearing to disturb the grumpy badger. Others began to discuss the distribution of resources, forgetting the spirit of sharing that once united them. Thomas, determined not to let Christmas be lost, decided to take action. He gathered Luna, Noz, Ruby, and Bambi to come up with a plan. Thomas expressed that they needed to remind everyone why Christmas was important, emphasizing that it wasn't just about parties and gifts, but about caring for one another. Ruby, the wise fox, agreed, suggesting they might organize something to show Grunhido and the others the true spirit of Christmas. As they discussed their plans, a cold wind swept through the forest, bringing dark clouds and the promise of a heavy snowstorm. The animals hurried to seek shelter, worried about the impending storm. As the snow began to fall heavily, Thomas flew back and forth, checking to make sure everyone was safe. It was then that he heard a faint cry coming from near the frozen stream. Struggling against the wind, Thomas followed the sound and found a bear cub trapped in a snowbank. The small creature was trembling from the cold, unable to move. Without hesitation, Thomas flew back to the community, alerting everyone about the situation. He shouted above the howling wind that they needed to unite to save the cub. To his surprise, it was Grunhido who stepped forward first. He grumbled that he knew that cub. It was the little Boo. He insisted they couldn't leave him out in the storm. A makeshift rescue team quickly formed. Grunhido, with his strength, forged a path through the deep snow. Noz and his squirrel friends formed a chain, passing supplies from one to another. Bambi and other deer used their antlers to clear the way. Ruby coordinated the efforts, using her wisdom to ensure everyone worked in harmony. Thomas flew above them, guiding the group through the blinding snowstorm. Luna, with her melodic voice, sang to keep spirits high and give hope to the lost cub. After a hard struggle against the elements, they finally reached Little Boo. Grunhido, surprising everyone, was the first to reach the cub. With unexpected gentleness, he wrapped Boo in his strong arms, murmuring that everything would be okay. They began the return journey, which was equally challenging, but the group remained united. Each animal played a crucial role, whether providing warmth, clearing the path, or keeping spirits elevated. When they finally arrived at the safety of the large communal burrow, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the forest. The little Boo was quickly wrapped in warm blankets, surrounded by concerned animals offering food and comfort. Grunhido, still holding the cub, looked around with an expression of astonishment, admitting that he had never seen anything like it. He acknowledged that they all risked their lives to save someone they didn't even know. Thomas gently landed beside him, reminding Grunhido that this is what Christmas represents. It isn't about the parties or the gifts. It's about coming together and caring for one another, especially in difficult times. A thoughtful silence fell over the group, broken only by the soft purring of the sleeping bear cub. In that moment, something changed in the forest. The true spirit of Christmas had manifested not through decorations or songs, but through an act of collective courage and compassion. In the days following the dramatic rescue of little Boo, the forest was filled with a new energy. The Christmas spirit, which had previously seemed threatened, now flourished with renewed vigor. However, as Christmas Eve approached, new complexities emerged, weaving a web of subplots that enriched the community's experience. Grunhido, the once grumpy badger, found himself on a journey of self-discovery. Impacted by the collective act of kindness, he struggled to reconcile his new appreciation for Christmas with years of isolation and bitterness. One afternoon, Thomas found him sitting alone, contemplating a small Christmas ornament. Grunhido shared that he had spent so much time focused on himself that he had forgotten what it was like to be part of something larger. Thomas perched beside him, offering a silent and understanding presence. Grunhido expressed his desire to help with the Christmas preparations, but he worried about not knowing how and whether the others would accept him after everything he had said. This conversation marked the beginning of a touching subplot, where Grunhido, with Thomas's discreet help, began to reconnect with the community, offering his strength for heavy tasks and, to everyone's surprise, revealing an unexpected talent for storytelling around the campfire. Meanwhile, Luna faced her own challenge. Her previous injury left her with a slight tremor in her wing, making it difficult for her to participate in the traditional Christmas aerial dance. Determined not to give up, she spent hours practicing alone, often until dusk. Noticing Luna's silent struggle, Noz gathered a group of small animals, squirrels, mice, and even some hibernating butterflies, to create a ground choreography that complemented Luna's limited movements. This collaboration not only allowed Luna to participate, but also gave rise to a new tradition that united land and air animals in a unique performance. Bambi, the young deer, faced a different dilemma. As the youngest of his herd, he was chosen to lead the ceremonial Christmas race, an honor that left him both excited and terrified. His legs trembled not from the cold, but from nerves every time he thought about the responsibility. Ruby, the wise fox, noticing Bambi's anxiety, took it upon herself to mentor him. However, her lessons went beyond mere racing techniques. She taught Bambi about courage, leadership, and the importance of trusting oneself and one's community. Ruby would say during their training sessions that Bambi was not running alone, as he carried with him the spirit of the entire forest. As these individual stories unfolded, they intertwined in unexpected ways, creating a rich tapestry of personal growth and community connection. One day, while helping to decorate the great central tree, Thomas noticed something curious. Small acts of kindness inspired by the struggles of his friends were spreading throughout the forest. A group of rabbits, inspired by Luna's perseverance, organized a choir to accompany the Christmas dance. The bears, touched by Grunhido's journey, decided to come out of hibernation for a day to join in the celebrations. Thomas realized that each individual challenge was, in some way, strengthening the bonds of the community. The forest was not just preparing for Christmas, it was evolving, growing in compassion and understanding. However, with just a few days until Christmas Eve, a new challenge arose. The frozen lake, traditionally the center of the celebrations, began to crack due to an unexpected rise in temperature. The news spread quickly, causing panic among the animals. The sacred site of their Christmas traditions was in danger. This unexpected crisis united all the subplots. Grunhido offered his strength and knowledge of dam construction. Luna and her new dance group volunteered to quickly spread important messages. Bambi, overcoming his nervousness, led a team to find an alternative location for the celebrations. Thomas, flying from group to group, coordinated the efforts, amazed at how each animal was using their new skills and connections to face this collective challenge. He realized that the true miracle of Christmas was not just the celebration itself, but the journey that led them there. A journey of personal growth, overcoming challenges, and community unity. Christmas Eve finally arrived, bringing with it an air of anticipation and a touch of apprehension. The frozen lake, the traditional center of the celebrations, remained unstable, forcing the forest community to adapt quickly. Thomas flew over the area, observing the last-minute preparations and feeling the mix of emotions that lingered in the air. As the animals gathered in the new clearing chosen by Bambi, a tense silence settled in. The location was beautiful, decorated with pine cones and berries, but the absence of the frozen lake was palpable. Some older animals murmured about lost traditions, while others seemed uncertain about how to proceed. It was at that moment that something extraordinary happened. Grunhido, the previously grumpy badger, stepped forward. His voice, usually rough, sounded clear and strong. "Friends, I know I am not the most festive among us, but I have learned something important in the past few days. Christmas is not about where we celebrate, but why we celebrate." A murmur of surprise swept through the crowd. Thomas landed on a nearby branch, intrigued by the change in Grunhido. The badger continued, "I spent years hiding in my den, convinced that Christmas was just noise and waste. But you have shown me that it is so much more. It is about courage, like when we rescued little Boo. It is about perseverance, like Luna overcoming her injury to dance. It is about leadership, like Bambi facing his fears." Grunhido's words touched something deep within the community. Animals that had seemed disheartened began to rise, their eyes shining with a new light. At that moment, Luna took flight, her wings still not fully healed, but her determination unwavering. She began to sing a soft melody, her voice echoing through the clearing. Soon, the little animals who had practiced with her joined in, creating a unique harmony that blended sounds of the earth and sky. Inspired, Bambi stepped forward, his hooves tapping a gentle rhythm on the snow. "Grunhido is right," he said, his young voice filled with conviction. "We do not need the lake to celebrate what truly matters. We can create new traditions here and now." As if responding to an invisible call, the animals began to move. Squirrels and rabbits formed dance circles, bears and wolves united their voices in a deep chorus. And even the normally reserved owls joined in the celebration with their soft hoots. Thomas watched all of this with a mix of admiration and emotion. He saw how each challenge they had faced in recent weeks had prepared the community for this moment. Each lesson learned, each obstacle overcome, had strengthened the bonds between them. Suddenly, a bright light illuminated the sky. All the animals looked up, amazed. An aurora borealis danced above the forest, painting the night sky with vibrant colors, greens, purples, and blues intertwined in a light display never before seen in that area. Ruby, the wise fox, spoke softly. In ancient legends, it was said that the aurora borealis was a sign of blessing, a gift from the heavens for those with pure hearts and united spirits. The appearance of the aurora was the final catalyst. All remaining hesitation dissipated, replaced by a wave of joy and gratitude. The animals began to share food, exchange improvised gifts, and tell stories of past Christmases and hopes for the future. Thomas, moved by an impulse he couldn't explain, soared toward the aurora. As he flew, he felt as if each feather on his wings was filled with light. He traced circles and spirals in the sky, his dark figure beautifully contrasting with the bright colors. Below, the animals watched in wonder. Thomas's flight seemed like a dance, a celebration of the journey they had all taken together. It was as if he were weaving all the threads of his experiences: Boo's rescue, Luna's recovery, Bambi's courage, Grunhido's transformation, into a single moment of pure Christmas magic. When Thomas finally landed, he was greeted with applause and joy. Noz ran up to him, his eyes shining with excitement. "Thomas, you did magic. Look." The crow turned and was speechless. Where there had once been only snow, now a small pine tree was growing, its green leaves glowing with a soft light. Around the tree, small winter flowers were blooming from the snow, as if spring had decided to make a special Christmas visit. Ruby approached, her gaze filled with wisdom and emotion. "Thomas," she said softly, "you brought the spirit of Christmas to our forest in a way we've never seen before. This pine tree, these flowers, are a symbol of rebirth, hope, and the unity we have built together." The animals gathered around the miraculous tree, feeling that they were witnessing something truly special. The Christmas they feared they had lost had not only been saved, but transformed into something even more meaningful. Grunhido, with tears in his eyes, spoke what everyone was feeling. This is the true miracle of Christmas. It's not about the place or the traditions, but about what we create together with love and unity. And so, under the light of the northern lights and around a pine tree born from the magic of Christmas, the forest community celebrated not just the holiday, but the journey that brought them there. A journey of growth, forgiveness, courage, and above all, the transformative power of the Christmas spirit. In the days following the magical Christmas night, the forest vibrated with renewed energy. The small, miraculous pine tree, now affectionately called the Tree of Hope, had become the new center of attention, growing a little more each day, as if nourished by the love and unity of the community. The consequences of that special night manifested in various ways, affecting each member of the community in unique and profound ways. Thomas, once solitary and skeptical, now found himself at the center of a web of friendships and responsibilities. The younger animals followed him, asking to hear the story of the night he danced with the lights of the sky. The crow, although a little uncomfortable with the attention, discovered that sharing his experiences brought a satisfaction he had never known before. One morning, while Thomas watched a group of puppies practicing formation flights inspired by his dance with the aurora, Luna landed beside him. "Who would have thought that a solitary crow would become the hero of Christmas?" she joked gently. Thomas shook his head, still adjusting to his new reality. "I'm not a hero, Luna. I just learned to see things differently." Luna smiled. "And that's exactly what makes you special, Thomas. You showed us that we can always change, we can always grow." Grunhido, in turn, was undergoing an even more dramatic transformation. The once reclusive badger was now regularly seen in the company of other animals, sharing stories and even laughing, a sound many in the forest were hearing for the first time. One day, Grunhido surprised everyone by announcing that he was organizing a monthly winter festival, a celebration to keep alive the spirit of unity they had discovered at Christmas. "We don't have to wait an entire year to remember what's important," he declared, his voice hoarse with emotion. "We can create our own magic together all year long." Bambi, inspired by his leadership experience on Christmas Eve, took a more active role in the community. He organized groups of young deer to patrol the forest, ensuring everyone's safety and helping those in need. I learned that being brave doesn't mean not being afraid, Bambi explained to a group of younger admirers. It means doing what's right, even when we're scared. The collaborative dance of Luna and the small ground animals evolved into a new form of art in the forest. They regularly performed under the Tree of Hope, their performances a lively celebration of the community's diversity and unity. Noz and his fellow squirrels, inspired by the Christmas miracle, dedicated themselves to caring for the Tree of Hope and the winter flowers around it. They created an elaborate irrigation system using nutshells and leaves, ensuring the tree had water even on the coldest days. Ruby, the wise fox, observed all these changes with a glimmer of satisfaction in her eyes. She began documenting the new traditions and stories on pieces of tree bark, creating a living record of the forest's transformation. "We are living in times that will be remembered for generations," she told Thomas one day. "It's important to preserve these memories so they can inspire others in the future." However, not all the consequences were easy to deal with. The rapid growth of the Tree of Hope and the winter flowers around it began to alter the balance of the local ecosystem. Some animals expressed concern about how this would affect their traditional food sources. Thomas, recognizing the need to address these concerns, called a community meeting. Under the branches of the Tree of Hope, the animals openly discussed their fears and hopes, seeking solutions that would benefit everyone. "Christmas taught us to face challenges together," Thomas reminded everyone. "Now is our chance to put that lesson into practice." As winter progressed, the forest continued to adapt and evolve. Each animal, from the smallest mouse to the largest bear, found new ways to contribute and grow. The magic of Christmas had planted seeds of change that were now blossoming into a stronger, more united, and more compassionate community. In the center of it all, the Tree of Hope continued to grow, its roots deepening into the forest floor, just as the spirit of unity took root in the hearts of all its inhabitants. As winter approached its end, the forest faced new challenges that tested the strength of its newly discovered unity. The thaw brought unexpected floods, threatening the burrows of many animals and putting the community's food reserves at risk. Thomas, now viewed as a natural leader, found himself at the forefront of efforts to tackle this new crisis. Flying over the forest, he assessed the situation, coordinating rescue teams and seeking safe areas for relocation. During one of these flights, Thomas spotted a group of beavers struggling to reinforce their dam against the increasingly strong current. Without hesitation, he dove down to help, using his beak to carry branches and stones. One of the beavers, amazed, remarked that he never thought he would see a raven helping to build a dam. With a branch in his beak, Thomas simply nodded. Internally, he reflected on how much he had changed. Months ago, he would have ignored the beaver's problem, only concerned with his own survival. Meanwhile, Grunhido was leading an effort to dig drainage channels, redirecting excess water away from inhabited areas. The badger, once known for his solitary nature, was now coordinating dozens of animals with patience and kindness. "Each shovel of dirt we moved is a step toward protecting our home," he encouraged the others, his raspy voice filled with determination. Luna, still recovering from her previous injury, found a new way to contribute. She organized an aerial communication system, using messenger birds to quickly relay information throughout the forest. Her creativity and leadership inspired others to find unique ways to help, regardless of their physical limitations. Bambi and his group of young deer ventured deeper into the forest, searching for new food sources to replace the reserves lost in the floods. During one of these expeditions, Bambi discovered a hidden valley full of fresh vegetation and protected from the floodwaters. It was as if the forest was rewarding them for their unity, Bambi said in awe to Thomas when he returned to report his discovery. The news of the valley brought a wave of hope to the community. However, accessing it meant crossing a dangerous area fraught with unstable ground and treacherous currents. It was Noz who proposed an ingenious solution. "What if we built a bridge?" the little squirrel suggested during a community meeting. "We could use everyone's skills, the strength of the bears, the engineering of the beavers, the agility of the squirrels." The idea was met with enthusiasm, and soon the entire forest was involved in the bridge project. It was a challenge unlike anything they had faced before, requiring cooperation on an unprecedented scale. Ruby, the wise fox, oversaw the project, her experience guiding crucial decisions. "Every animal has a unique gift to offer," she reminded everyone. "Together, we are capable of achieving the impossible." The process was not without difficulties. There were moments of frustration when construction techniques failed or when bad weather delayed progress. Thomas often found himself mediating disputes, reminding everyone of the spirit of unity that had brought them this far. One day, when construction seemed particularly challenging, Thomas flew to the Tree of Hope in search of a moment of peace. To his surprise, he found Grunhido there, silently contemplating the tree's branches. "Sometimes I wonder if we can keep the spirit of Christmas alive," Grunhido confessed, "if we can really change." Thomas landed next to the badger. "Look around us, Grunhido," he said softly. "Every challenge we face makes us stronger, more united. We are not just keeping the spirit of Christmas alive, we are making it part of who we are." Thomas's words seemed to renew Grunhido's determination, and together they returned to the construction site with renewed energy. Finally, after weeks of hard work, the bridge was complete. It was an impressive structure, a mix of logs, vines, and stones, each element reflecting the unique skills of the animals that built it. On the day of the inauguration, the entire community gathered. Thomas, flying over the bridge, felt a wave of pride and gratitude. He landed in the center of the structure and addressed the gathered animals. "This bridge is more than a passage to the valley. It is a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together. Each of us has grown, overcome fears and limitations. We have learned that our differences do not divide us. They make us stronger." As Thomas spoke, a ray of sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the bridge and the gathered animals. At that moment, everyone felt they had not only overcome the challenges of winter, but had also grown as individuals and as a community. The bridge to the fertile valley became a constant reminder of their journey, a journey that began with a magical Christmas and continued to transform their lives far beyond the festive season. With the arrival of spring, the forest pulsed with renewed energy. The bridge to the fertile valley had transformed the community's life, bringing abundance and security. However, as the first anniversary of the magical Christmas approached, a sense of anticipation began to grow among the animals. Thomas, in his daily flights, noticed whispers and eager glances. Many wondered if the magic of that special Christmas could be recreated. Others feared that without a crisis to unite them, the spirit of community might fade away. During a peaceful afternoon, Luna found Thomas perched on a branch of the Tree of Hope, which had now grown considerably. "You feel it too, don't you?" Luna asked softly. "This, expectation in the air," Thomas nodded. "It's as if everyone is waiting for something, but they don't know exactly what." Luna smiled. "Maybe it's time to not just wait, but to create something new." Inspired by Luna's words, Thomas called a meeting of all the leaders of the forest, Grunhido, Ruby, Bambi, Noz, and others who had emerged throughout the year. Together, they discussed how they could honor the journey they had taken and further strengthen the bonds of the community. After hours of animated debate, an idea began to take shape, a grand festival that would celebrate not only Christmas, but all the seasons and the lessons each one brought. "We can call it the Festival of the Four Seasons," suggested Bambi enthusiastically. "Each part will represent a season and the changes we've experienced." The idea was met with unanimous approval, and soon the entire forest was involved in the preparations. Each group of animals took responsibility for a part of the festival. The bears and beavers, remembering the spring flood, decided to create a presentation about adaptation and teamwork. The squirrels and rabbits, inspired by the fertile summer in the new valley, planned a celebration of abundance and sharing. The birds, led by Luna, prepared an aerial performance symbolizing the change and beauty of autumn. And for winter, everyone agreed to recreate the magical night of Christmas, with Grunhido as the main narrator of the story of their transformation. As the preparations progressed, Thomas found himself flying from group to group, coordinating, encouraging, and sometimes mediating small conflicts. He noticed with satisfaction how each animal found a unique way to contribute, using skills that many didn't even know they possessed before the events of the past year. However, not everything was running smoothly. A week before the festival, a dispute arose between the groups responsible for summer and autumn. Both wanted to use the main clearing for their presentations, arguing that their theme was the most important. Seeing the conflict escalating, Thomas had an idea. He flew to the Tree of Hope and collected some of its leaves and seeds. Returning to the bustling meeting, he spread the items in the center of the circle of animals. "Look," he said, his voice calm but firm. "This tree was born from our unity at Christmas. Its roots grew strong in spring, its branches expanded in summer, its leaves changed color in autumn, and it remained green even in the coldest winter. Each season, each experience has made us who we are today. We cannot separate one from another, just as we cannot separate our stories." Thomas's words had an immediate effect. The animals, recalling their collective journey, quickly found a compromise, deciding to intertwine their presentations in a way that honored the continuity of the seasons. With the conflict resolved, the final preparations for the festival gained new momentum. The forest buzzed with activity, everyone working together with renewed purpose. On the eve of the big day, Thomas flew over the forest one last time, marveling at the transformation. The main clearing was decorated with symbols of all the seasons. The bridge to the fertile valley was adorned with flowers and lights, and the Tree of Hope, at the center of it all, seemed to shine with its own light. Landing at the top of the tree, Thomas felt a wave of emotion. They had come a long way since that lonely Christmas a year ago. Now, on the eve of their greatest celebration, he knew they were about to embark on something truly extraordinary. The stage was set. The forest was ready. The Festival of the Four Seasons was about to begin, promising to be an event that no animal would ever forget. The day of the Festival of the Four Seasons dawned with an atmosphere of magic and expectation. The sky was a crystal blue, as if nature itself wanted to participate in the celebration. From the first ray of sunshine, the forest vibrated with a contagious energy. Thomas woke up before dawn, his heart beating with a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew that this day was not just a celebration, but a test to see if the unity and spirit they had cultivated throughout the year could truly endure. The festival began with the celebration of spring. The bears and beavers presented an elaborate recreation of the construction of the bridge, symbolizing how they overcame the flood. Using logs and stones, they built a miniature version of the bridge before the amazed eyes of the audience. Grunhido, surprising everyone, led a chorus of voices singing about renewal and hope. When the presentation ended, a murmur of admiration spread through the crowd. Thomas, perched on a nearby branch, felt a wave of pride. This was not just a spectacle, but a living testament to how much they had grown. The celebration of summer followed, with the squirrels and rabbits transforming the clearing into a living feast. Fruits, nuts, and flowers were artistically arranged, creating a colorful mosaic that represented the abundance of the fertile valley. Noz, overcoming his shyness, told the story of how they found the valley, his voice trembling with emotion as he described the journey of discovery. As the animals shared the food, Thomas noticed something extraordinary. Predators and prey, big and small, all ate side by side, united by the shared experience and gratitude. The act of autumn was a breathtaking sight. Luna, leading a group of birds of all species, performed a stunning aerial dance. Feathers of all colors were released into the air, creating a living whirlwind that symbolized the change of seasons. The performance culminated with Luna gracefully landing on the Tree of Hope, her wings extended in a gesture of embrace to the community. Thomas, watching from above, felt tears welling up in his eyes. The beauty and harmony of the presentation were a powerful testament to how they had learned to work together despite their differences. Finally, the moment of the winter celebration arrived, the recreation of the Christmas night that had changed everything. Grunhido took center stage, his hoarse voice filled with emotion as he narrated the events of that magical night. As Grunhido spoke, something extraordinary began to happen. Small lights, resembling fireflies, began to appear around the Tree of Hope. They danced in the air, forming patterns reminiscent of the northern lights from that Christmas night. A collective gasp of wonder echoed through the forest. The animals looked on in amazement, many wondering if they were witnessing yet another miracle. It was at that moment that Thomas felt an inexplicable call. Without thinking twice, he took flight, soaring toward the dancing lights. Just like on that Christmas night, he began to fly in intricate patterns, his black wings slicing through the air in a mesmerizing dance. As Thomas flew, the lights seemed to respond to his movements, creating a spectacle of light and shadow that left all the animals breathless. It was as if the very sky was celebrating with them, honoring their journey and their unity. Suddenly, a bright beam of light descended from the sky, enveloping the Tree of Hope. For a moment, the entire forest fell silent, watching in anticipation. Then, before everyone's eyes, the tree began to bloom. Flowers of all colors sprouted from its branches, spring flowers, summer blooms, autumn foliage, and even delicate ice flowers representing winter. It was as if the tree was telling its own story, the story of a community that had learned to thrive in all seasons. Thomas, still flying, felt a wave of emotion so strong it almost knocked him from the sky. He landed gently on top of the Tree of Hope, his black feathers contrasting with the colorful flowers. Looking down at the gathered crowd of animals, Thomas saw faces illuminated with joy, eyes shining with tears of emotion. In that moment, he understood that they had achieved something far greater than any of them could have imagined. With a clear voice that echoed throughout the forest, Thomas spoke. "Friends, what we see here is not just magic. It is the result of our unity, our compassion, our willingness to grow and change. Each flower on this tree represents a lesson we learned, a challenge we overcame together. This is the true miracle, not something given to us, but something we created with our love and dedication." As Thomas spoke, the dancing lights descended, touching each animal present. It was as if each one was being blessed, recognized for their part in the collective journey. The entire forest seemed to vibrate with an energy of pure joy and unity. In that magical moment, under the Tree of Hope, blooming with the colors of all seasons, the forest community understood that they had not only recreated the magic of Christmas, but had transformed it into something even more powerful and enduring. The Festival of the Four Seasons had become a celebration of life itself, a testament to the power of love, unity, and hope. And at the center of it all, Thomas, the crow who had once been solitary, now soared as a living symbol of transformation and leadership. In the days that followed the Festival of the Four Seasons, a sense of peace and accomplishment lingered over the forest. The event had been more than just a celebration. It had been a powerful affirmation of how much the community had grown and transformed over the year. Thomas, now recognized not only as a leader, but as a symbol of hope, reflected on the incredible journey they had all taken. Sitting on his favorite branch of the tree of hope, which continued to bloom with flowers from all seasons, he watched the life of the forest unfold below. Gronido, once grumpy and isolated, was now regularly seen organizing study groups where he shared the wisdom he had accumulated over the years. His transformation inspired other animals to open their hearts and minds. Luna, fully recovered from her old injury, led a new flight training program for young birds. Her resilience and creativity had become legendary in the forest, inspiring others to overcome their own challenges. Bambi, the once timid young deer, was now a confident leader among the younger animals. He organized regular expeditions to the fertile valley, teaching about the importance of ecological balance and preservation. Noz and his fellow squirrels had expanded their role in the community. In addition to caring for the Tree of Hope, they now managed an elaborate food distribution system, ensuring that no animal went hungry, regardless of the season. Ruby, the wise fox, continued her work documenting the stories and lessons of the forest. She had started an outdoor school where young creatures of all species came together to learn about the history of the forest and the values that united them. The bridge to the fertile valley, once a symbol of overcoming challenges, was now a constant reminder of what they could achieve together. It was always bustling, with animals coming and going, sharing resources and knowledge. Thomas, reflecting on all these changes, felt a deep sense of gratitude. The forest that he once considered merely a place for individual survival had transformed into a true home, a community united by bonds of love, respect, and mutual understanding. Flying over the forest one last time that day, Thomas saw small acts of kindness and cooperation everywhere. Predators and prey chatted amicably, different species worked together on community projects, and all around were signs of prosperity and harmony. Landing back on the Tree of Hope, Thomas looked toward the horizon. The sun was setting, painting the sky with colors reminiscent of the northern lights from that magical Christmas. But now he understood that the true magic was not in a single event, but in each of their abilities to choose kindness, unity, and love every day. With this understanding, Thomas knew that the spirit they had cultivated would continue to flourish, not just during the festive seasons, but in every moment, in every interaction, in every choice to help and support one another. The lesson of Christmas had become a way of life, a promise of a bright and hopeful future for the entire forest. Sleep tight, little dreamers. I'll be here again tomorrow with new tales for us to enjoy together.